Hey everyone, how's it going? Today we're going to be taking a look at my entire Bachmann Thomas collection. So let's begin. The first engine we have is, of course, Thomas the Tank Engine. I remember getting this a long time ago at a local hobby shop, and I got the set along with Annie and Clarabelle for $40, a ready-to-run set. Nowadays, you'd be lucky to get the engine for $40. Next, we'll take a look at Edward. Edward has to be one of my favorite engines. It's something about his design, how simplistic it is, that really brings back memories from the old TV show. The paint job on this engine is pretty nice. Up next, we have Henry. This is another really neat piece. It's so neat looking at these side rods in action. I also like the green paint color that this model has. Next up is Gordon. Gordon has to be another one of my favorite models. Everything about this model looks so good. It represents the TV show pretty accurately, and even the face looks pretty close. Next up, we have James. Oh, James. From the side, this model doesn't look too bad, but there's a couple things about it that always bugged me. For one, the wheels, they're like this light gray. I remember in the TV show they were a dark black, so I think they screwed that up. Another thing that really bugs me is that this face, it looks so cartoonish. That looks nothing like the TV show. Next up is Percy. Once again, the side looks pretty good, but if we look at the front, this face, it doesn't look like the TV show that I remember. This model in particular has to be the lightest out of all the engines. Next we have Toby. This model looks very good in my opinion. If there was one thing I complain about, it would have to be that these openings are sealed off and you can't see through the model. The face looks pretty good and the paint job looks pretty good, but oh, here's something I just now noticed that looks pretty cheap. Look at the bell. They could have made a separately applied bell, but instead they chose to include it in the mold, and it just, look at that. There's like a little hump. Besides those two flaws, this model looks pretty good. Next we have my favorite model, Duck. So why is Duck my favorite train? I'd have to say it's partly due to his design. I don't really know the technical name for this train, but I know it's based off of a real train from a British railway. Probably another reason I like this model so much is that green's my favorite color. Plus he has this really weird looking shape. He's just kind of an awkward train if you think about it, but it makes you like him all the more. Next we have the twins, Donald and Douglas. Both these models feature a nice black paint scheme with nameplates, separately applied whistle, and the tenders look very nice as well. But I'll tell you, there is a flaw with these models. If you look at the models close, you'll notice that the eyes are a little bit wonky. They look a little cockeyed. And I don't know if that's something with my model or if that's just a factory error. I'm not really sure. That's one thing I didn't really like. Next we have the Devious Diesel, the only diesel engine that I have. Because this model's black, you can't really see a lot of the details, but if you look up close, you will notice that they did put these little vents on the side and little couplings on the front, even some ladders on the side. But there's something in particular about this model that I just can't stand. Any guesses? Look at that smile! The Diesel in the TV show always had a snarl on his face with some real mean looking eyebrows, but this model just has a, oh, I'm happy, I'm a Diesel, I'm getting along with these trains. No, that's not the way it was in the TV show. Put a frown on that face, put some eyebrows going down. And the last engine that we're gonna look at today is Spencer. Out of all the models that I have, this one retails for the highest amount of money, but I actually got it very cheap a long time ago on eBay. I believe I paid less than $40. This model does have some wear and tear on it, but it still runs just as well as it did the day I bought it. There's a separately applied whistle, and there's enough room here in the smokestack that if you wanted to modify this engine, you could probably put a smoke unit in it. And of course, to go with the model, I have the two passenger cars. They have this nice red paint and silver bumpers to go with the silver paint job of Spencer. Not bad. So here's a couple other characters that I have that aren't trains. This is Terrence the Tractor and Toad the Brake Van. Now we'll take a look at my passenger cars. Someone commented a while back that these cars are actually rare, so I went online and found out that they are indeed very rare cars. I can't remember exactly how much I paid for these three cars, but I remember it was somewhere under $70 for all three. That may sound like a lot to some of you guys, but considering that this car right here sells for $50 by itself, that's a really good deal. So out of all the pieces that I have, these are probably the rarest pieces I have. I will say one thing that I didn't like about these passenger cars is that these end caps came off so easy on their own. In fact, this one's missing one on the opposite end, so that proves my point right there. Before we finish here, I'd like to take a look at some of my freight cars that I have. Remember these guys? The troublesome trucks. Always causing trouble for these engines. Next we have this brake van, a ventilated box car, and I also have this mail car. So there you have it, folks. This has been my entire Bachmann Thomas collection. Thanks for watching.